All right, guys. Our next guest is stepping up on super late notice to save UFC 303, fighting Carlos Ulberg in a high stakes matchup in the UFC 205 division. A pleasure to welcome back Anthony Lionheart Smith so soon. Welcome back to the show, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, man. Good. Super excited. Thanks to you for UFC 303, man. And crazy times because, like Casper said, like we spoke not long ago. How does it feel for you, Anthony? You're back in another UFC fight week so soon.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It feels pretty normal for me. I was already training. I'm already in shape. My weight is low. Um, so I don't know. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me. I'm ready. I feel really good. I'm in a good place mentally. I'm excited.
Sounds like another day in your life, man. Take us through the process. How did you even find out about this one? How was this sort of presented to you? Where were you when you find out, hey, man, you're going to be fighting in a matter of weeks or days?
Yes. So Jamal Hill I was training with Jamal. So like Carlos Ulberg's already been on my radar for the last, however many weeks. I was already studying him. I was already paying attention to him. He was already on my mind, so I could study him to help Jamal. So I've been in camp. I've been training. Jamal was actually in Omaha with his injury, so he was in my hometown training with me there. So, we were already grinding. We were training hard, and whatever happened happened. And he pulled out because he just couldn't do it. He talked about the knee, but Jamal's actually he's holding a lot close to his chest too.
Oh, wow.
He's got other stuff he's dealing with physically as well. So it's not just the knee, which is bad enough on itself. But so he made the decision and pulled out, and I think I was the natural next progression just because I think the UFC knew I was in training camp. They knew I was ready, and they called, and I said, yeah. I mean, it seems short notice, but it's definitely more short notice for him. I've already been thinking about Carlos Ulberg for several weeks. So it just I don't know, it feels normal because I was already pretty focused on him.
This might be like one of the rare situations where, like, when somebody has to withdraw, the other person may already be kind of like anticipating in a sense. Like, did Jamal speak to you at all before he made the decision? Like, did you guys have a chat and Jamal was like, hey man, like, I think this is what might happen. And then at that point you would have already started thinking like, okay, I may get that call.
Well, really the decision we were just really solely based on Jamal. So it was me, my boxing coach was there with him in Vegas after he'd gone home. He left here on Sunday and he had to pull on Monday or Tuesday. So it was him, my boxing coach, his head coaches, and his manager were all on like this big call. And it was just, I just listened and he had to do what he had to do. And I knew that there was a chance that they could call. So we didn't really talk about it, but I know the UFC knows that I was ready, that I could have, long story short, I knew that the UFC knew I was willing to step in at 303 before the Jamal thing happened. So I thought maybe they would because they knew I was willing already. And so I had a conversation with my wife and my family, and because we had some other stuff going on too, like there's other family stuff that we got to do, and there's appointments and there's places we got to be. And there's only, when I'm here in Denver and then I go off to fight week, like it's just my wife. So she's got to figure out how to do that on her own. So before they called, a couple of those things were already, being looked at of how we could move some stuff and get some help and whatever. But so when they called, I had already gone through the steps of seeing if it was something I could do.
So in that process, Anthony, obviously the main event also falls off and you got Alex Pereira stepping in. Were you at all considered to potentially fight Pereira, or did they already know the jury was stepping in there? Did they at all mention, hey, there's also this chance instead of Ulberg, you could be fighting Alex on the card?
So that fight was attempted to be put together first, and then it didn't come together, and then it came together later. So I suppose in terms of actual consideration, I guess it'd be something you'd have to ask Alex.
Okay, gotcha. I was also going to ask, was there any consideration for you being like the backup or anything like that? Obviously, the UFC so often had nothing like that.
Yeah, nothing with the backup.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's interesting, dude. Just before we get off Jamal, how do you think him and Ulberg would have gone?
I think it's a good matchup for Jamal. When he's on, Jamal's really tough to deal with. He's really good. He's sneaky fast. He's a better athlete than people give him credit for. God damn, that dude hits hard too. It's different. When Jamal hits you, it's different. It's like you're being hit by a legitimate heavyweight.
Have you ever felt that kind of power from any of your other opponents? I know it's a different fight versus sparring, but
yeah.
Yeah,
I've only had one person that's hit me like that felt even remotely close. It was Stipe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the only person that's hit me that hard is Stipe. And Stipe, he's a legitimate heavyweight, and he's like dense. It's weird. Like everything he does to you hurts. Like even a very simple takedown like hurts. He's just like a heavy, dense, just rolling and grappling and clinching and moving around. Like it's just painful.
Well, you mentioned the matchup a little bit already on the good guy, bad guy breakdown, and you sort of mentioned that Olberg, he kind of hasn't fought a super high level MMA artist that can fight him anywhere. I just wonder, Anthony, for those that might have missed that episode, can you sort of break that down for us a little? Like, what did you mean by that? And sort of take us into the notion of sort of Olberg's run so far in the UFC and the challenges that he hasn't yet experienced.
I hope that didn't come off, when I said it as something that was negative, because it wasn't meant to be that way. I think that Carlos Olberg is really, really good. I think he's really good at what he does. He does a really good job of making people fight him on his terms. But just because of the trajectory of his career, he hasn't really fought, and he hasn't fought anybody in the top 10. He hasn't fought anybody in the top 5. And to do that and be successful, you have to be able to fight anywhere. And he's done a very good job of forcing people to fight him where he wants to fight. And I'm just not that guy. I'm going to fight everywhere, and that's how I always do it. I'm a legitimate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I can wrestle. I can fight in the clinch. I can strike with you. I can fight anywhere. And I think that's what I meant by that is he hasn't fought anyone at my level that can do everything and be a danger every single place. So if he shuts me down on our feet, then I got check down lists. Like I can go down to the clinch work. I can go down to wrestling. I can go down to straight jiu-jitsu. And that's not a knock on him. It's just he's never fought anybody like that in the UFC. So I think that there's a lot of unknowns that we're going to find out about Carlos Olberg on the 29th.
I think that's one of the things that makes it such an exciting fight. Now, last time we spoke, you mentioned sort of like a whole new process in getting ready. And of course, we saw like a fantastic performance from that at UFC 301. How are you sort of feeling now that you've got like a little bit of momentum? And I wonder like what that win also did for that process. We've spoken to other fighters before where it's like you can have a sort of a great process and it looks good on paper, and then like you go in and the fight doesn't go your way and it's like, all right, got to go back to the building blocks. But with this one going so well for you, I wonder if that sort of solidified that as well. Like, yep, this is the right way forward.
Yeah, it's just a mindset change. Even this one, like when I took the Khalil fight, I think I told you guys, like, I think I lied to a lot of the media early, but afterwards I just had to be honest. Like I fought Ryan Spann in December or whatever it was, and I didn't train again. Or no, I fought him in August. I fought Ryan Spann August 26th, and then December I fought Khalil. Until I took the Khalil fight, I didn't go to the gym one time.
Oh, wow.
I just took the fight. Then I trained for the week and a half that I had, cut the weight, and went and fought. But that mindset was different. It was, if I can go in here and do something and like kind of dare greatly, put myself in a really terrible spot and succeed, then it puts me in a really good spot for the title. Like every decision I was making was based on how close or how far away it would put me in a title fight. So all the other bullshit didn't matter. It was like, it doesn't matter that you're 237 pounds. It doesn't matter that you haven't trained in 4 or 5 months or whatever it was. It doesn't matter that he's a southpaw, really fast, short, stocky striker, like, which is kind of my kryptonite. Like, none of that stuff mattered because the prize was so great that I was willing to risk everything else. So that was the mindset going into the Khalil fight. This one was kind of different. Like I told you guys going into the Vitor Petrino fight, I'm done worrying about the fucking title. I'm done. Not that I don't want it. I'm just done making decisions based on the title. I'm done making decisions blinded by something that I don't have. So, I think Michael Chandler had a real cool, like in his statement, he said something like, He's hitched his dreams to a shooting star. And I've done that for a very long time. And a lot of times it doesn't pay off. So I just need to control what I can control and stop trying to attach everything to this shooting star that you may or may not ever see. So I'm trying to just put these fights into a box and just make a decision that way. So when they called and they said, do you want to fight Carlos Ulberg? I just had this, like, it doesn't matter what happens after I win. It doesn't matter what happens should I lose. It doesn't matter. Like, there's no consequences conversations having. It's, am I in shape? Yeah, I'm in shape. Is my weight low? Yeah, my weight's good. Do I feel like I could go 3 hard rounds? Yeah, I can go 3 hard rounds because I've been doing it week after week with Jamal Hill at the highest level. So I know I can do that. I've been doing it. Am I in a good place mentally and happy? Yeah, I am. And do I like the matchup? 100%. Like, I couldn't find a reason not to. It has nothing to do with title fight implications. There's nothing to do with where I am on the card, the money, like none of that stuff. I don't need the money. I just got a fat check. Like, nice. I'm good. So I just put it into a box, and then me and my coaches talked, and like none of us could come up with a reason not to. It's a good matchup. He's ranked right by me. I've already been thinking about him. I'm in shape. My weight's low. And I'm in a really good place mentally. Timing wise, it's perfect because I hate fighting in the summer, and I've always said that I don't fight in the summer. At least I try not to. And so this way I can fight in the summer without having to like spend the entire training camp away from my kids, away from my family. I get a couple weeks of just grinding, and then my fucking summer's back again. And then we're back by the pool.
Is it also a case where like it's less time to like overthink things? Like you strike me as
For sure.
like a super intelligent guy, and one of the downsides of that is people like yourself can overthink things, and then it becomes almost like a bit of a burden. Is that like, I mean, you co-host with Michael Bisping, who obviously won the title on, what was it, 11 days notice. So he's a great example of that. Do you find it's a little bit freeing, like you mentioned, like you get to enjoy the summer without sort of slugging through that, and then also the mental burden's not there for you?
Yeah, it's wild. Like I've enjoyed the first part of the summer while also being able, like I've been doing strength and conditioning twice a week. I've been training, but like it's been fun. Like I've just been having fun because I haven't had like a name in front of me or like this target that I'm chasing or this guy that I'm thinking about when I wake up every morning. It's been like, I don't know. It's just been this nice little change where I just decided, made myself a promise. I wasn't going to allow myself to get out of shape and fat and lazy again. And I kind of like live in this regional scene life where before I was signed, I was so broke and struggling that I just had to like fight every month or every other month. So as soon as I fought, I would get back in the gym and hopefully I wasn't injured too bad. I would just have to train through it and then get another fight right away and just kept fighting. Like I'm kind of living that life right now. Like I'm just training and then doing whatever I'm doing with my family. And then this fight popped up and like, I'm in shape, let's do it. And I don't have to stress on it. Like I haven't been stressing about Carlos Ulberg for 5 weeks or 4 weeks every night. I haven't been hyper focused on this one guy. And it's been really, really nice.
100%, man. Like, I wonder how much you've thought about this though, right? Because like I know you've detached yourself from like this obsessive chase of the title. Having said that, you're fighting a guy in a big streak in a co-main event. You're also doing the UFC as solid. Like career-wise, what do you think is on the line here? Like what does a win here do for you other than give you another fat check?
Well, I like the checks.
Yeah.
Cool. But I've never been like a super money motivated person. It's just never, my wife hates it because I don't really value money. If it wasn't for her, I'd be poor. But I mean, it's not lost on me, the position that I would put myself in with a win, especially given the history that Alex Pereira and I have, the dislike we have for each other, which is weird to say because I don't really dislike him.
Sure.
But I just feel like I have to take part in this, like whatever this thing he has is. It's kind of fun for me, but yeah, I mean, it's not lost on me, the promotional situation that we're being put into. There's some stuff behind the scenes that are happening that I understand why they're doing it. It's every UFC event. Of course, to the consumer, this is what we're doing. This is the night of fights. Everything's about this, but every UFC event is the setup for whatever the next matchups are for those people. So I know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah, man, 100%. Well, speaking of getting yourself into things, make sure you get yourself into the smoothest version of yourself this summer for all our friends in the States. And of course, everybody here in Melbourne and Australia who's currently dealing with winter. Smoothest version of yourself and smoothest version of your boys downstairs. Call them what you want. The old knee knockers, the golden nuggets, the thigh slappers, etc. But our good friends at Manscaped simply refer to them as the boys. Not every man has children, but every man is responsible for their two boys below the waist. When your little guys have more hair than they need, trust Manscaped for all your grooming dreams. Hey, we all know how scary it can be when going in for that close shave below the waist. That's why we trust Manscaped for all our sensitive areas, introducing the Lawnmower family with the Lawnmower 3.0 Plus, the 4.0 Pro, and the 5.0 Ultra. 3 ball trimmers. How good is that? And each trimmer is equipped with the skin-safe technology and LED spotlight and unique features for all your grooming needs. They're also waterproof. How great is that? Travel lock as well. Not to mention, Manscaped have all sorts of phenomenal products to get you smelling A1, super fresh, and looking the best downstairs. Isn't that right, Dennis? Oh, 20% off with the code submission and also free shipping. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That's right, man. That is right. A Manscaped morning for me, beard trimmer in the morning. You got the lawnmower downstairs. I'm even wearing the t-shirt in the gym because they're so comfortable. Manscaped has it all. Go to manscaped.com right now. Click the link in the description below. Get that 20% off with the code word submission. But Anthony, by the way, speaking of the division, I'll tell you, man, people are thinking, all right, the press conference, you and Alex Pereira both on stage. What are you anticipating for? I know you mentioned like you don't actually really dislike the guy, but you know it's a bit of fun taking part in this thing. I imagine there's going to be a bit of entertainment value. You know, there'll definitely be a question between you guys, maybe from a fan or something like that, or so there'll be a comment here or there. What are you anticipating?
I anticipate that he's going to continue to do what he does, and he likes to take shots at me and poke at me, and if you poke at me long enough, you're going to get what you want. And it's been fun for me because I don't know, because I like him, honestly. I think I enjoy his personality. I enjoy whatever this show that he likes to show everybody. I enjoy watching him kind of play everybody. That's fun for me. But I know that he'll poke at me and I'll poke back. And I think that's why he does it. I don't think too many people poke at Alex Pereira very much. I think he enjoys that I'm willing to like when he punches at me, I'll punch back. And I think he likes that.
So just quickly before you go down, when you say play everybody, what do you mean? Like what? Like
I've said this 1,000 times. You guys always see him as this like murderous, stone-faced serial killer. That's not his personality. He's fun. Like he's got a really good sense of humor. And like you should see him and Glover in the back of these UFC events. They're like playing touch butt in the park. Like they are very playful and fun, and he has a good sense of humor, and like he has a great smile. Like he doesn't do it very often, but I've seen him laugh, and he looks like a guy like, oh my God, that guy looks like he's having a lot of fun. Like that's Alex. Like I don't know him personally, but I've been around him enough and watched him interact with people. He's a good guy, and everybody in the back likes him. All the UFC staff says that he's really easy to work with, that he's very kind, that he's on time. He does everything that's asked of him from the UFC promotionally, from the blue shirts, which is the UFC staff that nobody sees, but actually are the wheels that really keep this train rolling. He treats all them with respect. And like, I judge people off of how I see them interact with people who don't matter to them. And he's very nice. Like he's a very nice guy. So, and he's, you know, he's got this whole serial, and when he's in there, he's a fucking monster. Like I'm not gonna deny that he's not a scary motherfucker when he's in there. But, you know, this whole stone-faced, you know, psychopath that everyone had made him out to be, and he plays into it. I just know otherwise. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with all of that. It's just, I think that's why I don't have any problem poking back at him, because and he's not gonna eat my face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's also almost in a way, I get this feeling that he sees you as a great matchup, and I feel like Alex kind of understands the fight business, and he's like, hey, like maybe I can build. I feel like there's a little bit of like, let me build a little bit of anticipation for a potential fight down the line if Anthony, you know, picks up a couple of wins, because I think Alex also understands when it comes to the 205 division, right? it's like not that many options. And he knows you've
Well,
spoken
he's a
to us
businessman.
before.
He's a businessman, and he understands the promotional game in this sport. And if we're being honest, other than Yuri, who else is a new matchup that draws, or that he has a willing dance partner? There isn't anybody else. And I don't mean in terms of fighting. Of course, there's Ankalaev, and there's a host of other people that would put him in bad situations and be in good fights. But he's a businessman. He's got those pay-per-view checks before, and he understands what goes into that, and that people have to give a shit about it. And I don't disagree that I do think that he's being smart and putting himself in a position where if I do my job, it makes this easier.
Just speaking of checks, I know there's this whole $50,000 challenge thing that's going around between you two. Any chance that after these fights happen at 303, you guys will be in the same place? Any chance we see that go down?
Listen, I've accepted it every way I know how. He did change the rules though a couple times. Then it was he didn't want to do it at an event, wanted it to be in a gym, and then he needed an extra couple months because of his toes. He didn't want to grapple me because his toes hurt, but now he's fucking fighting Yuri Prohaska at 303. Like, come on, dude. Like, I don't think he expected me to accept it. I think that it was one of those, and I'm not going to hold him to it. The deal is passed. Like, I accepted. We didn't do it. Whatever. We can both make a whole lot more than $50,000 and just do the whole damn thing, which would be better for him stylistically, if that's what he wants to do. But yeah, I would honestly, we could do it for no money. Like, if that's what he wanted to do, like, we can. If he just wants to meet in a gym and he doesn't want anybody to see it, like, fine. I live in Omaha, Nebraska. You live in Connecticut. Sure, we can find somewhere in the middle if you don't want to come all the way to me.
I feel like that's going to be something good to bring up at the press conference. When you're both there, there's a live crowd, and I feel like that might sort of solidify it. You know what I mean? Streaming everywhere, everybody's watching. I think that could be a good one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I was going to ask just quickly.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I think everyone wants to see it just for some fun, man. Also, I wanted to get your take on the main event. Right, you got Alex and Yuri doing it again. I don't think anyone expected it. The rematch to come around this soon. Who do you think wins or retains in that one?
And interesting with Alex's toes and the fact that he was literally just here in Australia last week.
Yeah, it's wild, right? I think Alex wins. I really do. It being short notice doesn't really hurt either one of these guys, in my opinion. Neither one of these. Do we really think that even with a full training camp, these two are going to go 5? I don't think that's. I think that's unlikely. So it seems like Alex does a pretty good job of training, even when he's on the road. You see a lot of videos of him pop up in random places and random gyms all over the world. So at least when he's on the road, he's doing some sort of training. They said he only had to cut 22 pounds, which I thought was funny, the way that kind of the media made it seem like, oh my God, you got to cut 22 pounds. Yeah, him and every other fucking fighter on the card. That's pretty light if you're asking me. Like, I've seen that dude in between fights before. He's a whole hell of a lot heavier than 22 pounds over. So that tells me he's at least in pretty good shape because he's lighter than I expected him to be. And I don't know that any more time. I don't know that Yuri Prohaska can change his style. What makes him great and what makes him so dangerous is his wild man mentality, his creativity, the variety of his attacks, the way that he moves. But there's downfalls to that. Like, his aggressiveness and his willingness to engage and his crazy man mentality are all positives. But what comes along with that is some defensive irresponsibility. He gets hit a lot. He gets touched a lot. He gets leg kicked a lot. And he puts him, and when he gets hit, he's out of position a lot. It's one thing to take shots. Like, far be it me to talk about someone's defensive irresponsibility. For the most part, other than Khalil, when I take him, I'm pretty well in a position to absorb him. That's why Max Holloway does such a good job of absorbing so many shots. He's almost always in position to take him. His feet aren't squared. His back foot is on the ball of his foot. It makes his heel kind of act like a shock absorber. Like, he's always in position to take a big shot. So, but Yuri Prohaska's not. And, he just fought Alexander Rakic, and Rakic was able to touch him a lot. He was able to, put some pretty heavy punches on him. Rakic isn't known to be a boxer. He's an incredible fighter, but in terms of just his boxing, he's not an incredible boxer. And he doesn't carry really heavy power in his hands. But he's a really great kicker, and he kicked the shit out of Yuri Prohaska's leg pretty bad. Alex Pereira was able to do a lot of damage to Yuri's leg early. So I don't think you can fix that fast. And if you do, it means you have to change the way you fight, which makes you not as dangerous as you typically would be. So I just don't think he has enough time to fix those things. And by fixing a lot of those things, it's going to take away what he really does that makes him great. So that's my prediction. I think it looks very similar to the first one.
Yeah, man, I think you hit the nail on the head there. We'll see what happens, but yeah, it's really going to be one of those crazy.
It's going to be a fucking crazy fight.
Yeah, tornado. Yeah, Tasmanian devil coming at you. What about you, man? How do you feel about this?
Well, I'm not saying. Hold on, before we go too far, I'm not saying that Yuri can't win because we've seen Alex hurt before. We've seen him knocked out before. I'm not saying that he's, not saying he has chin issues or whatever, but it is what it is. He's been hurt and he's been knocked out. Yuri Prohaska's got crazy power in his hand. So could he catch him in a transition and knock him out? For sure. I just think if we're talking who wins 9 times out of 10, I think it's Alex. And if you just look at the amount of power, that Jamal Hill's never even been rocked before. Never been rocked ever in his whole life. He's never been rocked. And like when Alex hit him, and Jamal's my homie. I love that guy. But he went down quick. And it wasn't even like Alex really fucking dug into something crazy. Yeah. Like, the amount of power that Alex carries is fucking terrifying. Because, to have the ability to put down a guy like Jamal, and then you go in with the style that Yuri has, hit as much as he does, it almost feels like it's just a matter of time. Maybe it's not the first round, maybe it's not the second, but, can Yuri not could he avoid a knockout shot for 25 minutes and be offensive and dangerous as he is? I don't think so.
Nah, it's a great point, man. It's like someone like Yuri, what his strength is also a weakness in the sense that he's open to those shots from Pereira, but he's got, like he said, he's got to bring his full Yuri-ness to this because someone like Yuri always has a chance of winning, right? Because like he said, there's always that time that you can catch him. So it's going to be a great fight. What about you, man? How are you feeling about this fight with Carlos Ulberg? Do you feel like this thing is going to go the full 3? Do you have sort of a prediction or a way you feel like it's going to go as we wrap up?
I think it'll be a really close first round because I have a lot of respect for him and I have a lot of respect for his team. I hope that I don't retire before I have an opportunity to go down there and spend a little bit of time down there and just try to learn from those guys.
Oh, nice.
I just think it would be a lot of fun. I just have an insane amount of respect for them. So I know that they're going to have a good game plan. There's a lot of tape on me out there versus a lot of different styles. So he's going to be a motherfucker for a minute. I just think that deep waters is where I thrive. And with the young guys that are a little more inexperienced, I think he's going to fight me differently than he probably fights most people because his coaches are smart people. And as much respect as I have for them, I'm sure that they have the equal amount of respect for me and my career. And I'm no walk in the park. So they're going to have to be smart early and they're going to have to be very calculated and he's going to have to be on point. And so I think that we're both going to be very wary and very technical early. And then as the fight goes on, I think that I think I have too many tools. I have too many tools. I have too many ways to win. How is it going to, I don't know. It kind of depends on him. It's whatever he gives up. And if I find a hole, I'll drive a truck through it.
Love it. Awesome, man. Follow the man on Instagram at Lionheart A Smith. And I'd love to see you down there at CKB, man. I think that'd be a cool moment. Shout out to Huge and the boys. And thank you so much for your time, Anthony. Always love chatting with you. And best of luck in this fight, man. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, thanks for saving the card, brother. Can't wait to watch the fight.
I don't know about that, but I appreciate you guys. And we'll talk afterwards, probably.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Anthony.
See you guys.
Bye.